By the end of the wedding, I was just like, you know what? A sign of a good wedding, a sign that you really had fun at your wedding is your wedding dress just like completely shredded. So I guess I'm doing it right. Today I am reviewing my wedding. Well, our wedding. Since it's just me, I feel like saying it was my wedding, but you know what I mean. We're in our 3rd month of marriage. We've moved to Dallas. Lots of things have happened. We went on our honeymoon in Hawaii. If you follow my vlog channel, you saw all of that stuff. It was so much fun. And I've talked to you guys about doing this video because I didn't do a lot of really specific planning videos along the way. I wanted to do like a full wedding recap, talking about all of the details, all of the things that went into planning the wedding, who I used for what different things. Like if you're in the Houston area or if you're in Texas, maybe you're planning your wedding. I don't know, maybe it would be helpful just to hear how I went through everything, what I loved, what I didn't love, who were my favorite people to work with, what were the moments that I kind of regret, or I don't want to say regret because I don't really regret anything, but like there are things that I wish had gone down differently, but I will just say, spoiler for like the whole review, I loved it. I rated it a 10 out of a 10. I would do it again. Even with all the bumps in the road, I would do it like the exact same way, just to have the whole feeling of the day, to have everything the exact same way, even though it wasn't all perfect. Like, it was the best wedding I've ever been to. Is that weird to say? Or does that just mean I'm really happy with it and so thankful? Actually, yes, that's absolutely what that means. I have to say thank you first and foremost to my mom. I don't know what's right here, but my mother, she is in a place of importance. This is like her throne. I don't know. She helped me so much along the way. She could basically be a professional wedding planner. She's helped both of my sisters plan their weddings, and then she helped me, and she was just a lifesaver. And she is so like calm, cool, like, hey, it's all gonna work out. Like, she doesn't get stressed out about anything. And that was so nice just to have that person on my side always. And she was always like down for it, you know, like she did everything she could to make this day amazing and special and exactly what we envisioned. I mean, I can't say thank you enough. I've told her thank you a million times, but just to say it, give her all the credit that she is due. My mom, she's amazing. But also, of course, thank you to my whole family. Both of my sisters, they were 2 of my bridesmaids, or actually they were like my maid of honors. But really, thank you to my whole family. Thank you to Grant. Thank you to Grant's family. Thank you to Georgetta. Like, everyone around us, everyone supported us. Everyone was there, ready, willing to help with absolutely everything. Thank you to my sister's husbands. Like, we definitely couldn't have done it without every single one of them. Everyone was involved. Everyone had a job somewhere along the way. Okay, now on to everything else. Cue that person in the comments that's like, skip to the actual wedding planning at 3 minutes and 77 seconds. Shout out to you. Couldn't do it without you. I took so many notes to plan for this video because I didn't want to forget any details. And even now sitting down to do it, I'm like horrified at the thought of me forgetting an important detail that I want to talk to you about. So hopefully that won't happen. I have pictures to share with you along the way, so hopefully that will better illustrate everything. And I'm gonna try to go down through the categories chronologically. So like, obviously like the most important things I need to talk to you about, and then everything that happened through the actual wedding day as they happened. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Okay, so at the top of the list, we have the wedding planner, which is Skylar. Her name on Instagram is Skylar Caitlin. I will link everybody that I can find links for in the description in case you're curious. I found her after talking to a few different wedding planners, and I felt like we just connected. She got excited. She got super engaged when we were talking about my ideas. Like, I came into this wedding with ideas but they were all very loose. They were all very abstract. I didn't have like specific concrete needs, like must have this, it needs to look like this, my colors are this. Like, no, I was pretty flexible and I was really open to exploring ideas. She was so helpful with working on the details and like the back and forth with vendors, like working out contracts, getting quotes, like just doing the kind of back and forth email stuff that is not very fun, especially to me, and then coming back and explaining it to us and kind of just giving us the rough summary so we could make decisions from there. She also really helped with design ideas, like say I'd be like, oh, what about this? And she'd be like, okay, this would work, this wouldn't work. So it was really nice to have her in those moments, but I felt especially the time when she really helped so much was like the last month, like the last week, the day of. It was like, wow, I feel like all of this wouldn't have run as smoothly if we didn't have her kind of in the background, behind the scenes, like kind of cueing people, getting everybody ready and getting all the details in order. So there was never a moment day of where I was like, isn't that guy supposed to go on now? Or isn't it supposed to be the time for the first dance or whatever? You know, those little details that you don't really want to be worrying about on the day of. You want to enjoy yourself. And I definitely got to do that thanks to her. So shout out to Skylar. Okay, so next up, one of the big, huge parts of the wedding for me and probably for everybody is photography and videography. I immediately started researching this after we got engaged, especially the videography. Obviously, video, very important in my life. It was something that I knew I would want to get a really great video, not just for my memories, but to share with you guys. Yes, that's like so weird that like moment one in my wedding planning, I was like, I can't wait to show them my wedding video. Obviously, I was gonna love it, but I think about you guys a lot. Is that weird? Anyway, so I did a lot of research and I actually talked to a lot of video people and photographers. And it was kind of overwhelming, but once I talked to Michelle from the Cotton Collective, I knew, done deal, we're with them. I really also loved that they did video and photo. So you knew it would be like a coordinated effort and everything would be kind of cohesive. They have a pretty like set style. It's very bright, happy, cheerful. And I also feel like that's kind of flattering. So that's always nice. Pretty much every photo you will see throughout this video is going to be shot by them. So big shout out to their whole team. People ask me all the time when I'm gonna upload the wedding video, but their timetable that they gave me was like, I think 6 months out for the video editing, which is so long and it kills me. And I literally just emailed them yesterday checking in like, is there any way, maybe, like I don't want to bug them and I don't want to be like, you know, a nuisance, but I cannot wait to see it and I can't wait to share it with you guys. The photos turned out amazing. You guys will see them throughout this video, like I said. I'm so happy with them. We also did our engagement session with them and I also did a bridal session with them. The engagement session was really great because Grant and I got to be in front of the camera with them, meet them, get more comfortable with them before the day of. That would be kind of nerve-wracking if you hadn't really met them or worked with them until your wedding day, because you don't really have time to like get acquainted and like chit chat and joke around and stuff like that. Like everything is pretty like tightly planned. So that was great to have that opportunity to do that with them. And then the bridal session, which I got some questions along the way, like, why do you do that? Is that like a Texas thing? What are you doing? The way I see it, it's kind of like a dress rehearsal. So you get to wear your dress, you get to do your hair, your makeup. I did my hair and makeup with Adorn Artistry. I'll tell you more about them in a little bit. I ended up doing my own makeup for the day of, but they did do my hair for the day of. I really love how the bridals turned out. It also kind of just takes the pressure off of getting like bridal portraits done on the day of, and it can kind of save you time on taking photos of like just you, or I mean, I don't know if you want that, but I kind of wanted that. And you also get to kind of tie in another photo scene. So like we did the bridal portraits in kind of like a empty warehouse downtown in Houston, and I thought that looked really cool. And also I'm just really glad we have those. There's just more photos. I'm not really gonna get to wear the dress again, so the more you can wear the dress, the better. Am I right? That's just how I feel. So everything they did, I have loved so far. Can't wait to see the video. As I said before, I guess I would say if you are going through that process right now and you're trying to talk about the contract for the video, I'd say pay very special, close attention to the timetable on everything, like when you'll get your photos, when you'll get your video. So like for me, I'm like very impatient pregnant and I really want to see it. So I'm like, oh, maybe I should have like paid a little more, got the video sooner. So that's maybe something I would do a little bit different, but ultimately does it matter? Not that much. But yeah, if you want to see the video, keep an eye out. If you want to see a little mini preview of the wedding video, it's on Instagram. Okay, now I can actually start with the timeline of everything going in chronological order. I stayed at the Hotel Alessandra the night before the wedding, and that's where we were gonna get ready before the wedding. My sisters, my mom, my mother-in-law all came to my room to get their hair and makeup done. I got my hair done. I did my own makeup in that room. I was like kind of slightly secluded when I was doing my makeup. It took me forever. If you didn't catch my wedding day bulletproof bridal makeup tutorial, I went through and did my makeup exactly like I did on the day of my wedding. It lasts. If you are worried about your makeup lasting through the day, if you're dealing with humidity, heat. We got married in July in Houston, and it actually rained a little bit, so it was a little bit less hot, but it was just as humid as it always is, basically a rainforest, and I was so happy with my makeup. I'll definitely add the link to that video in the description or in a card somewhere up here you can click in case you want to watch that. Or, I mean, really, this makeup would work for every day if you wanted just like makeup that don't move no matter what. Anyway, like I said, our hair and makeup people were Adorn Artistry. They came up to the hotel and they did my sisters and Georgetta and my mom, my mother-in-law, hair and makeup, and they were so sweet. They were so professional. Everybody was happy with their hair, happy with their makeup. Everybody chose their own hairstyle, makeup, all of that. Like, obviously I don't really care. I just wanted everyone to be happy with the way they looked and to feel good and to be comfortable. That was my top priority. So it was like all in everyone's hands and everyone was happy, which made me happy. I waited until we got to the church to put on my dress, but everybody else got dressed at the hotel. So the bridesmaids, my family, everybody. I can't remember the brand name of the bridesmaid's dress for some reason. I found it on Nordstrom online, and they were 3 different dresses all by the same brand, and they're all the same color, and I just let them choose which one they wanted. I really, really liked them. I think they were really flattering on everybody. I'll figure it out, and if they still have them online, I will link those down below because I thought they were really pretty. Everybody was happy. I feel like it could be a dress that they might wear again. Who knows? As a bride, you don't really know how the bridesmaids feel unless they're very, very outspoken, but like, I'm very lucky. They were all just like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm good. Like, no one was complaining, so that was nice. Hopefully they all actually liked them. I definitely liked them. Okay, now let's talk about my dress. Can you tell? The mood has changed slightly. So there was a lot of drama with my dress. I loved my dress. I loved the way my dress turned out, but along the way, it was a very bumpy road. I shopped a lot of different places. If you watch my vlog channel, you already know I did a lot of wedding dress shopping, partially because I loved so many dresses. Every shop I went to, I found different favorite dresses. I didn't really come into it like, I want a mermaid dress. I want a short dress. I didn't have a specific style in mind, and turns out I like all the styles of wedding dresses, so that made the process a little bit harder. I feel like I was somewhere between like too hard to please and too easy to please, and it made everything very confusing. But after going to a few places that were closer in town that were more convenient for me to go to, I decided to go to a bigger place that was further out in the Woodlands. It's called Brick House Bridal, and it's actually the same place I went with Georgetta when she got her wedding dress. And like, next level amazing, when we walked into her appointment, the person helping us, Sarah, actually knew me because she watches my videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, because she knew both of us and she was super sweet and so helpful. And Georgetta found her dress during that appointment. So I was like, hey, I need to go see Sarah. She can help me find a wedding dress. They had a much bigger selection, and that's where I found my dress. Huge shout out to Sarah at Brick House Bridal. She was so patient. She was so helpful. She was so sweet. She actually gave me a birthday present. It was so great. She was so kind and so sweet, and she had a lot of great tips. None of the dress drama had anything to do with her. She was nothing but helpful along the way, and I was so thankful to have her helping me. After a lot of looking, the dress I finally decided on was Blush by Hailey Page. And like I said, I had no idea what style I wanted to go with, but when it came down to it, I was like, you know what? When else in my life am I gonna be able to go full princess, full white, poofy, full fluff cupcake dress. Like, when else am I gonna be able to do this? I couldn't think of any time other than my wedding unless I wanted to just go full crazy and like just dress like that regularly. I don't have any plans to do that at the moment. Who knows what could happen in the future, but I decided let's just do this on the wedding day. It makes sense to me. I can wear a mermaid dress any old Tuesday. That's debatably true, but that's the logic I used to finally force myself to pull the trigger and get the dress. And I'm actually really happy that I went full on princess fluff style with the dress. So really there was no drama with the dress before I bought it. I was just kind of indecisive. But after I bought it and took it to the tailor, that's where the drama started. That's where all the bumps in the road happened. There were many issues with the tailoring process, but to make a long story short, after the first meeting with the tailor, I came back because it's like you have to do many meetings and many tailoring sessions. The second meeting was when it all started to crumble. There was a hole ripped in the front of the dress, and you see it's like sheer fabric, and it was not like a seam. It was just a random hole ripped in the front of the dress. On top of that, the whole top part was being taken in, and they took it in way too much on the seams that went like in the front along the boobs, and so it just kind of like flattened everything out. It was just done insanely poorly. Like they had written down the measurements wrong, or I don't know what can even happen. Obviously, I'm not a professional at all in that field, so I don't know what could explain it, but it just didn't fit at all. Plus there was a hole, and there was really no explanation. Leading into that appointment, they had called me and tried to push my appointment back. So I think maybe they had just done it in a rush. Maybe it got forgotten. I don't know. But I mean, I was in it. I was in the situation. I probably should have pulled it out at that time and gone somewhere else, but I was scared to do that because it was a pretty complicated dress and it was already kind of taken apart. I didn't want to come in with like a half done dress at another tailor. I don't know. Maybe I should have done it differently from here, but I didn't. I'm all about giving people every chance in the world to redeem themselves, and they did, or they tried their best. So after that, the two owners came in and they were on the project. They were super attentive. They wanted everything to be perfect, and it definitely ended up taking way more appointments than it should have because they had to fix all the mistakes that were made originally. But I was really happy. I felt like they were really on it. They were really apologetic. They really wanted me to be happy, and that meant a lot to me. Mistakes happen and you just kind of have to roll with it. I was upset, but what are you gonna do? I already bought the dress. Like, let's just do what we can to make the best of it. So that was fine. Also, along the way, they added boning and they changed out the straps because the straps were super, super thin to begin with. And I really like that look. The delicate strap is really nice, but in reality, it can be really painful because the dress was pretty heavy and it would dig into my shoulders. And so through the appointments, I would see like my shoulders would turn really red and it was kind of hurting. So they ended up changing out the straps, which I thought was a great idea. But it turns out something went wrong there, because when I was at the reception, I went to hug my mom's friend saying, "Hi, thanks for being here. I just got married," all those things. One of the straps popped off. It just ripped off. Oh my gosh, I was so upset about it. I mean, obviously, you can't really be that upset. It's your wedding, like you're gonna be happy. But I spent probably like 10 minutes trying to safety pin the strap back in place. But the way the fabric was, like, I don't know the name of the fabric, but it was really sheer, it was really thin. And every time you try to pin the strap to the dress, it would just rip through the fabric. Also, it was kind of a difficult situation because I was doing it at the reception, like right as the dancing had started. So it was really dark. It was just like challenges, obstacles all around trying to make this dress work. So I just ended up tucking the strap into the back of the dress and going on with my life because I hated that I was having to spend any time at all trying to fix my dress at my wedding. Like, you don't really schedule that part in. You don't want to like be missing dancing with your husband, dancing with your friends, dancing with your family, fixing your dress. Like, that was probably the worst thing that happened at the wedding. And all in all, I was lucky. Oh, one other thing happened to the dress. Like, this dress was just kind of cursed generally. As I was walking out of the main dining room to get my dress bustled, I think, my friend was walking behind me and he stepped on my dress and stepped through one of the layers of the dress. Like, this dress just had it coming. By the end of the wedding, I was just like, you know what? A sign of a good wedding, a sign that you really had fun at your wedding is your wedding dress just like completely shredded. So I guess I'm doing it right. I definitely have a very good ability to like find the silver lining or like reason through things in my mind to make myself feel better. It's a talent and a curse probably, but that's all the drama with my wedding dress. I love my wedding dress, but it was cursed, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot to say this, and I definitely need to. You guys are probably like, oh my gosh, why did you go to this horrible tailor? Well, they were recommended by the bridal shop that I went to. They had like a list of trusted tailors that were in different areas. And this one was kind of in the area closer to where my parents live. So I thought it would be convenient for us both to go to the appointments. It was really far away from where I lived, but I thought it would all work out. I'm sure this was just a freak accident. They have good reviews. I thought about this for a while, and I'm not gonna say the name of the tailoring place just because I feel bad slamming them. They're a small family business. I just feel bad doing that. But I will leave a review somewhere else to hopefully share my experience with people if they are about to use them, just to, I don't know, like I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through, but I also don't want to slam anybody. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. It's a weird situation. All right, so let's move on from all of the dress drama. That really was one of the worst things that happened through this entire process. And I consider myself lucky because really at the end of the day, that wasn't that bad. Like, I'm sure so many worse things, so many tragical, horrible things have happened at weddings, and my little dress mishaps like don't compare at all. So I was lucky that that was the biggest problem that happened at my wedding. But I would say I regret spending time trying to fix it at the wedding. I should have just tucked it in, moved on. You know what I mean? Anyway, that was a long section, but I felt like it was interesting. That was my little piece of tea for you, my little shot of tea. Okay, moving on to my accessories and the other things I wore on my body on my wedding day. All of the jewelry I wore was something borrowed, everything borrowed from my mom. It's all of her jewelry. She actually picked it out to go with the dress, and I loved all of it. It made me feel very fancy and very beautiful. And I also really liked that I didn't have to pick it because I probably would have spent a million years laboring over that decision, and it all looks gorgeous in the photos, and that was perfect. Also had a little topper. So in some of the pictures I have long sleeves. I only wore it during the ceremony, and I also wore it at the bridal shoot. Like I said, it was July in Houston. It was very warm. I like the look of a long sleeve with a wedding dress, but it's just not a doable thing in that kind of weather. Like, you must have like a death wish if you do that. So I wanted to wear it for a little bit and then have like a slight change up for the reception, and I just loved the look. I think they call it a topper. We called it a jacket. It had a ton of little buttons here and a ton of buttons down the back. And we actually used my grandmother on my dad's side's crochet needles that we've had for so long. And I just thought that was a really cute detail, but those buttons were a task. I had like all hands on deck to do those buttons. I just felt like it was just a little added touch, a little something different. Like, obviously I wasn't gonna get like two different dresses. I guess that's not obvious. I can be a little extra, but it was just my way of doing something a little bit different, and I really, really like that. I can't remember the brand of that, but I also got that at Brick House Bridal. My shoes were Stuart Weitzman. I got them on Black Friday the year prior. I just knew I wanted comfortable shoes, so they're a lower sandal and they're really closed in, so my feet didn't hurt the entire night. They're kind of like a silvery gold. I don't know if they were the perfect choice, but they didn't hurt, so I was happy. And we decided we didn't really want to do the whole garter thing or like a bouquet toss, so we didn't do either of those things. There were a couple of like little tradition-y things that we skipped over because I just felt like, oh, I'd rather like spend the time at the wedding, you know, doing something else, like having dinner, dancing, whatever. So I think that's it for everything I was wearing. I was really happy with like the whole picture. Like, I know I like played up the whole drama bit of it, but like, yes, wedding dresses are insanely expensive, and that really, really sucks, especially with everything that happened with my dress. But at the end of the day, I was happy with the way that I looked, and you know, things happen. Like, everything is not gonna go right at the wedding, and like I said, I was lucky ultimately, and I wouldn't change a thing. Okay, now, before I get to the ceremony and the reception and all of those details, that whole story, let's talk about the paper goods. This is something that you like maybe don't think of right as you start planning, but it is a huge important part and you have to get on it like right away. So I got everything from Minted. Full disclosure, this video is not sponsored in any way, but I did do a little sponsorship partnership with them on Instagram when I got my save the dates. So I got all of my paper goods, like the invitations, the programs, the menus, all of the things from Minted, and I got so into the process. So I got really excited about kind of doing like a mixed suite. You can obviously go on Minted and find matching suites where your invitations match your menus, match your table numbers, match your RSVP cards and all of that. But I wanted to mix and match because I like to make my life complicated and I don't regret it, honestly. So these are like the table numbers. This was our program. It's like pink and red. These are so my colors. It could not be more perfect. And yes, Grant signed off on this color scheme. These were not our colors for the wedding, but I mean, I was like, thank you. Thank you so much for being down for these colors. I love the program. I love the save the date. Like I did all of that. Like I made all of those little Polaroids and put those letters out, and that was my whole scheme. That was my whole plan. Here's the menu. And then on the back, we have like a little gradient details card. I mean, I don't know, you're not really getting to see these. Oh, this was another detail I really liked. This went in the invitation, so it went in between two of the layers. Did you know there is like a pre-prescribed like order of the pieces of paper you have to put in the envelope for your invitation? I thought that was so crazy. Like through this process, I was tempted to make a video like top 10 things that are completely stupid about wedding planning, but I held myself back. I tried to have a positive attitude. I thought that was stupid, but I took full advantage of this little piece of basically like tissue paper. But we got one of our original engagement pictures on this little thin piece of paper and we put it in that envelope. I don't know if anyone cared about it but us, but isn't that what a wedding is all about at the end of the day? This is our actual invite. I absolutely love this design. It's called Rainbow Roll and we used it for the menu and the invite, and I don't know, I looked at so many different ones and Grant helped me so much to decide on this part because he cares just as much about these kinds of things like fonts and designs and all of that, which is so amazing. I was so happy to have him to help me with all of this stuff. Like he helped me every step of the way. Do not think that I was in this alone, even though I'm sitting in this video alone. He was so helpful. I am so thankful. We loved this one and we just kept going back to it, and I'm so glad we went with it. Ultimately, I'm just so glad we chose everything that was the most us. All right, now it's all back in its generic Ziploc baggie, the treasures of my life. We had the ceremony at the Heights Presbyterian Church. It's a little cute, absolutely perfect church in the Heights, not too far away from where we had already planned to have the reception. We planned that first. We kind of went backwards on that. We wanted to have kind of a smaller wedding and we ended up going with like about 100 people. We wanted a smaller venue for both places and we could only really fit 100 people in the reception venue. And this ended up being the absolute perfect church for the wedding. Once we got to the church, Grant and the groomsmen had already been there and everything, and we went up to a little bridal suite where I could actually look down and see into the sanctuary, which was a little bit nerve-wracking, but that's where I got ready and I could hear everybody arriving and everything, but I couldn't look because I didn't want them to see me. It was cool. I really liked that they had that little area up there. And before the ceremony, we actually exchanged notes. Like my mom went down and brought him a note from me that I had written, and his mom brought me a note. And he actually wrote me 2 notes. Isn't that so sweet? He wrote one to my bride, and he said, open me first, and one to my wife. I feel like it would be too long and maybe too personal to read here, but here's the other one. I feel like you guys are gonna really love this one. It says, to have and to hold, with a little piece of pizza. And he wrote this one too. It was just a really sweet moment. I was so excited and nervous and scared, and I had like all these emotions, and for me, I wasn't scared to get married. I was more nervous about being the center of attention, which probably sounds weird as I'm speaking on my YouTube channel, but that's just how I am. Like public speaking, being the center of attention, like it's just kind of not my thing. So that's the part that really made me nervous. And I felt like this moment, like reading the cards from each other, it just took me out of that, and it made me so excited to see him, so excited to get married. And since we didn't really want to do a first look, we felt like this would be a cool like way to interact without seeing each other before the ceremony. And I'm really glad that we did it. And it was a really sweet note, and I know I'm gonna treasure these notes for the rest of my life. I'd say we generally had a pretty traditional ceremony, and a huge shout out to Pastor Lindsay. She was an amazing officiant, and she really put us at ease. We talked to her a lot leading up to it, and obviously we planned out the order of the program, the order of the service, I think you call it. And I felt like she did such a good job, and it was amazing. And I cannot wait to see the video of it, because I feel like it was all a blur. Like obviously you're there and you're very tuned in, but I was just like staring at Grant and so excited. I felt like I was about to pop, because I was just like, I want to say something, I want to laugh, I want to smile, I want to remember everything. But it was just like so much emotion, and it was just such a huge moment. I don't know. I can't wait to go back and see it and hear everything again. Obviously you could see the program, so you can see like kind of a light list of like what we went through, but she was super helpful in planning all of that out, and she did such an amazing job. And she was pregnant and she still did it, so that made me really happy. And I loved how everything looked. We wanted to go kind of minimal with decorating for the ceremony. I don't know, obviously this is not a rule, but my feeling was you're in a church, you don't need to like decorate, you know what I mean? One sort of non-traditional thing we did for the ceremony was the music. So my mom initially suggested that we do a string quartet, which I loved that idea. I was all over that. I was all for it. Grant loved that idea. And we found DeVisi Strings, and they do all the classic wedding songs. They do other events other than weddings, but they do all the classics, but they also do more modern, contemporary, like pop, rock, like all kinds of songs, but instrumental, obviously. And we decided to go down that road. It was such a hard decision-making process, because music matters to me so much for a wedding. Like I feel like it sets the mood. This was definitely something that the ball was more in my court than Grant. Like obviously he helped me with all the decisions, but like I am a little bit more like rabidly obsessed with music, so I picked a lot of these songs. We made a list of songs that they could play as the guests were coming in and all of that, but then we picked very specific songs for every other moment during the ceremony. So for the processional, for the family and the bridal party, we had God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. I love the Beach Boys. And Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley. And then I walked down the aisle to What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. That decision took me so long, and I was in between so many different songs, and I kind of almost went traditional with it. I almost did Canon in D, but I'm so glad I did What a Wonderful World, because it was just such a moment. Like, the moment you walk down the aisle is like the moment. Like everybody asked me like along the way, like, what are you most excited for? What are you most nervous for? Like, what are you looking forward to? And I was like walking down the aisle, because it's like, that's when it's all happening. Like, this is real. This is the moment. I get to see Grant. I'm walking down with my dad and everything. Like, it was a magical moment. Oh my gosh. Like, I wish I could do it again, honestly. I wish I could do it all again the exact same way. I feel like I'm almost gonna cry. This is weird. Like 3 whole months later, like, but I didn't cry. That was the one moment I felt like I was going to cry, but I didn't, because I like held it back. Like I was like so overwhelmed with emotion just right as I came in the doors, and then I kind of like saw everyone, and I just got so happy and so excited, and it was all so amazing. And I'm so glad I chose that song. We didn't have any other music through the ceremony, but then our recessional song when we were walking back down the aisle together was Good Vibrations, also by the Beach Boys. And then after that, the string quartet did go to the reception venue and play through the cocktail hour. We didn't get to go to that, but we did pick a whole list of songs for them to play for that. I didn't really even ask anybody like, oh, were they good? Did you enjoy that? But like, I'm sure they did great. They did great at the ceremony, and I'm so happy we did that. That was such a great detail. I'm so glad we found them and they did such a good job. Okay, now I need to like pause and say I'm sorry for how long this video is. There are a lot of details and I'm obviously like very passionate about every single thing. Like it all went so well. Like I cannot tell you how happy I was with how everything turned out. But here is another very big important detail that I probably should have included earlier in the video, but the florals. Our florist was so good. We worked with Fawn from Designs and she was amazing. Like I said, I had very general ideas of what I wanted. I had a Pinterest board with a lot of like inspiration photos, but it was not like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like this, let's do this and this and this, you know? And I don't have like very specific like favorite flowers. Like I liked a lot of greenery over flowers and I liked a little bit of pink, but a lot of white. And she took that information and ran with it. Like I knew I wanted to do like a macrame escort card situation, but the way she did it was so perfect. She put flowers around the top. The greenery that she chose, we did 2 different table designs, one with taller greenery and one with a garland with flowers, and there were candles. It couldn't have gone better. I love that she came to the meetings like just full of ideas. And that's exactly what I needed because I just didn't have very, very specific plans. So I needed help and she was so helpful. I would absolutely recommend her. So then after the photos, after the ceremony and all of that, we were ready to head over to the reception and we got a special car to ride in to the reception and it was the perfect car. It was actually really, really hard to find the kind of vintage car that we wanted in Houston. We searched so much. I have no idea why it was so difficult, but we ended up finding a black 1955 Chevy Bel Air from DFW Vintage Cars. So all the way from Dallas coming down for the wedding. And the guy that was driving was so nice and it was so cute and it looked so perfect in the pictures. I was so happy we like kind of went the extra mile to get that car because the moment driving from the ceremony to the reception felt like a movie. It was like unbelievable. It was unreal. Like I wanted that moment to keep going forever. I'd never been in a car like that and I've always loved them so much. Like I love old cars, like from many different eras, but this one was just so perfect for the wedding. It looked so great in pictures. I know I already said that, but I really could not be happier that we found that car. And we also did our little getaway drive. I don't know if you call it a getaway, but we left the reception in that car also. The reception was held at the Dunleavy, which is like a event space / restaurant at Buffalo Bayou Park. It's right in the park and it's beautiful. I've always loved it ever since it was built. You can go and have brunch there if you're in the Houston area. They have a really good brunch. You could check it out if you want to see where I got married. They have super, super high ceilings, a ton of unique antique chandeliers, and 3 of the walls are floor to ceiling windows, and it's just surrounded by trees. Every detail of this place is so pretty. The food is delicious. They're part of a bigger restaurant group in Houston. They have a lot of really good restaurants. And I just knew like this was the place I wanted the reception. It kind of built out from there just because, I don't know, I looked at a bunch of different places and I wasn't really thrilled. I just really, really loved the Dunleavy and I'm so happy we had the reception there. It is a smaller space. If you're having a summer wedding especially, you can't fit a ton of people inside, but that worked for us and it helped create the like really warm, inviting, homey, family-centered vibe that we really wanted. It was just so much fun. It was the perfect place. Like honestly, best wedding food I think I've ever had. We had steak. Well, we have the whole menu here. I'll show you the menu. It was really good. Obviously, our little menu does not show like all the details of each course and everything, but it was perfect. We didn't end up serving wedding cake to everyone. We had like a smaller wedding cake that we shared and we did like a little cake cutting, but we decided we wanted to choose one of the Dunleavy's desserts to serve to the guests. And I feel like that went over really well, and the dessert was really good. I had the dessert and I had the wedding cake, and of course the wedding cake was really good. The food, the atmosphere, the lights, the dance floor, everything about the Dunleavy, it was just absolutely perfect. The service was wonderful. Oh, and one kind of magical detail, when we came in for a meeting, it wasn't a tasting, but it was kind of a planning meeting. They had just gone antique shopping and they found a bunch of like tiki style furniture, including a bar. And they let us use that bar and like a little shelf that went behind the bar that was all tiki style. And obviously that was perfect for us. We didn't want like a tiki themed wedding, but we knew we were gonna have like tiki drinks and tiki elements going on. We didn't want a themed wedding, but we definitely got a themed bar, which I was very, very happy about. Speaking of drinks, we did have specialty cocktails. Obviously, guests could get anything they wanted to drink, and there were 2 different bars, but we just wanted to have like 2 different special drinks that, like, in case they wanted to try something that we really like. One of the specialty cocktails was a tequila drink, the Marfa Ranch Water, which is not something that we created, obviously, but we were introduced to it together by his brother, and we both really, really like it. It's super refreshing. In one of my vlogs, I think right after the wedding, we did show how to make that one, but I've never showed you guys the other one. It's a rum drink. It's much more tiki style, and Grant actually created this one. We named the special rum drink the Leigh because that's the tiki bar we met in for the first time. So since we're both pretty obsessed with the whole tiki thing and we had these special drinks, we wanted to have tiki style menus. It's one of our favorite parts of the whole tiki bar experience is looking at the menu art, and the artist that did the menu at Leigh, and we actually got to see more of his work at a little tiki festival in Houston called Bamboo on the Bayou. His name is Jason, and on Instagram he's the Boozy Doodler, and that's actually how we reached out to him. We were just like, we've seen you do all this tiki art, could you do a menu for our wedding? And he actually ended up doing the menu and also a portrait of us that we put on the sign-in table, and I have them both right here. We got 2 different sort of bamboo frames. This is the drink menu. Here's us down in the corner, and here's the Marfa Ranch Water, and here's the Leigh, and we had like a little blurb about them. Huge thank you to Grant for this whole project. He had a huge vision. So like obviously Jason did the legwork and like created them, but Grant had the master vision. Like he was the creative force behind it, especially on this one. This is like a little portrait of us dancing. I'm in my wedding dress, obviously. And there's the Houston skyline. Here you can see it's like an L and a G. I just love everything about it. I hope you can see it. I'm really hoping you can actually see it and there's not too much of a glare. I love the colors he used. I love the little frame that I found. This was just a detail that I'm really glad we actually put in the extra work to make happen, because really you get kind of tired towards the end of it and you're just like, oh my gosh, do we need one more thing? Like, let's just write it down on a chalkboard, which can be very, very, very cute. But I'm so glad that we have these little works of art that we can keep forever. And we actually have the originals, and then we have a couple of prints. And so it's just something special, like the notes, that are just absolutely priceless to me. So just like the music was super important to me for the ceremony, the music on the dance floor, the music at the whole reception was super, super important. And we went with LG Entertainment, and the DJ was named Jose, and he did everything right. He totally got it from moment one. We kind of have like a different style. Like we were looking on like typical do not playlist to get a good idea of what we wanted to put on our do not playlist, because that's kind of where we started. Like if we tell them what we don't like, hopefully that will help them when they're coming up with what we do like, because obviously you can't like plan out every single song you want to play on the dance floor or during dinner. You have to do kind of like overarching themes or genres or artists to kind of guide the DJ, you know what I mean? So we did that. We planned out all the specific songs for like the first dance, cake cutting, entrance, all of that. Actually, I'm thinking I really want to make a Spotify playlist that features all of the specific songs we played and actually all of the songs we can remember from the dance floor, because I wish I could remember every single song that was played because we had so much fun and Jose did such a good job, especially for the dance floor. We really like songs that are like crowd pleasers, not like line dances or like YMCA or something like that, but like sometimes songs that are on do not playlists that other people don't really want and they might think they're too like cheesy or something, but we really like them. Like Shout. Yes, we want that. We really liked I Got Friends in Low Places. We had a lot of fun with that song. They played Jesse's Girl. Hold on, I actually wrote down a couple of them because we were talking about this yesterday. Journey, Don't Stop Believin', All Night Long. Yes, like all these songs that like everybody knows and they're just fun, you know what I mean? And it's not like super serious dancing. Like, I don't know. It was just fun. Like Grant and I are not like super serious dancers. We will dance at everyone's wedding. I feel like we could be like professional wedding guests. We do a lot of silly dancing. We have a lot of fun. We will be out there. We will be having the best time at your wedding. We would love to come. I don't know why I'm trying to sell our services, but we had so much fun on the dance floor and I'm going to try to make that Spotify playlist happen. I'm gonna make it happen. I will add that in the description down below. I'll make a link, and so that will include all of the ceremony songs. I probably won't be able to get like the string quartet versions on Spotify. I'll try to, but no promises. And then all the songs that we planned for the bridal party entrance, for the first dance, for the toast. Like we had to plan out a lot of songs, which was a nerve-wracking process for me yet again, just because I put so much importance on that. So I was like, this has to be perfect. I have to love every single song, and I did. I was really happy with it. So check out that playlist if you are curious. I don't know. I really feel like I'm forgetting something right now, and I do not want to forget an important detail or an important thank you. Like our families helped so much. I want to do it again. Like it was one of the best days of my entire life. I would maybe say best day of my entire life. I had so much fun at my wedding, and I feel like that's a point, right? Like obviously getting married is the point, but you want to love every second, and I loved every second except for the part where my strap broke. Didn't love that second, but I'd do it all again if I could have all of the rest, and it was all worth it. Okay, the one detail maybe I'm forgetting is we did little streamer sticks. So our exit, like I said, we were going out in the 1955 Chevy Bel Air. Perfect car. Oh my gosh, that was another surreal moment. Going away from the wedding. I was so sad. I didn't want it to end. I was just like, no, I just want more. Like this night was too perfect to end. And we went back to the hotel. We had a honeymoon suite. It was so much fun. We met up with the guests that were staying at the hotel, and our little send-off included these streamers. Since the Dunleavy is in Buffalo Bayou Park, you can't use like a lot of different things that people usually use for wedding send-offs, but obviously these little streamers don't hurt nature at all, so they were the perfect solution, and I think they look good in pictures. And really, you're only gonna use them one time, unless you're Georgetta, an amazing friend who lent me some of hers, and I didn't have to buy as many as I thought I did. So that was really nice. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Hopefully this incredibly long video was helpful for you if you're planning your wedding, if you're helping your friend or your daughter or anybody plan their wedding. It's a hard process. It's so stressful. I don't think anybody goes through it absolutely stress-free or issue-free or obstacle-free. Like, it's just hard to make this happen, and it takes a long time, and it can take a lot of money, which is very stressful for anybody. I don't know. I just hope this was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'd love to have you back if you're already subscribed. Thank you so much. You are my people, and I love you. You can also find me on social media. I'll be posting more wedding pictures, especially this week since I'm putting out this video. Hopefully you can check them out on my Instagram, and keep an eye out for that wedding video. It's coming. I'm gonna beg for it even more because I cannot wait to see it. I just want to relive that day so badly. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video. Finally, hopefully I didn't forget anything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye everyone. My lipstick is already turning. It's back on me. Woo! It's just like this fly. I'm scared it's actually gonna be like in the video. There's like a drum circle outside right now. Not loving it. I don't know what's going on. Luna bean sandwiches.